Hello, this is Shawn Collins with Mare Solutions for Talk of the Track, and I have Meg Levy here that's been extremely successful in the business and is a consigner. I wondered if she could tell us a little bit about how she got started in the business.
Sure, Shawn. Thank you very much. I think one of the most interesting stories when I first got started, one of the very first, well, first of all, I got to Kentucky because I went to college in Texas and I had a boyfriend that was from Lexington. So he told me that there were horses here, just like there were in Texas and South Florida, and I should come on. So I did. I was in the show horse world, and I was so excited to find something that I could do that actually got paid to take care of horses and ride horses rather than paying for the privilege. So I stayed around. I started working horse sales, started showing for Eaton Sales. I was the first female showman for Eaton Sales in about 1992, and I stayed there with the partners for a while, about 7 years, until I decided to open up my own company, Bluewater Sales. So in 1999, one of the very first horses, actually it was probably the year 2000 now. In 2000, one of the very first nice horses that I sold was a filly by DeHare that I had at the Fasig-Tipton July sale. I sold her for one of my first big clients, Bill Skatine, who was putting a lot of pressure on me at the time. So he wanted a lot of money for this filly. So we got to the sale, and she failed 9 out of the first 10 scopes. And we got one vet who accepted her, and Kenny McPeak was the lucky winner who got her. So within the next year, she won the Alcibiades, the first really good race at Keeneland for fillies, a grade 1, and she won $2 million. And then she became the dam of 2 horses that are now going into the stallion barn. Will Take Charge, who's been one of this year's hottest 3-year-olds, and is going to be standing at Three Chimneys Farm in the coming year, and a horse called Take Charge Indy by AP&D, who stands at Windstar. So that's one of my very favorite.
That is just a fantastic story. What a wonderful family, and how quickly a family can change and do wonderful things and just keep on giving, which is beautiful. It also reminds me of an RNA that you had sold, Sinister Minister. If you could tell us a little more about that.
Sure. Well, Sinister Minister was sold, he was an old Trieste colt, and I sold him for another one of my first very big clients, a gentleman called Gary Bazantz, who started Cobra Golf in California, and he has a farm here called Cobra Farm. So I had the colt here at the Keeneland sale in September, and he had a couple of veterinary issues on the x-rays that were keeping him from selling. So we ended up RNAing him for a very small price, actually. If I remember correctly, it was around $35,000. So I sold him privately to a pinhooker that I know, a guy called Bruno DeBert, and Bruno then sold him to Bernie Schiappa at the 2-year-old sales, who also owns Game on Dude now. So this old Trieste colt went on and ran in the first bluegrass stakes at Keeneland that was held on the polytrack. And he led the entire way around. I think he won by 20-some lengths.
I remember that. It was quite amazing.
Really, really exciting. Very, very fast horse for Bob Baffert. So that was a fun story, too.
That's good.
Yeah.
Give us a little sense from your perspective how this particular sale has been.
Well, I think the sale has been good. It seems to have been very choosy as far as physicals and in particular the vet work. Last year we saw an increase in demand because of the decrease in supply. And this year we've seen a little bit of the same thing, but it seems to be more polarized than last year. I'm not sure if there are maybe a tiny bit fewer people here or if they're just being much choosier as far as the individual and the associated veterinary work with those horses, because probably 50% of the market is pinhookers, people who are interested in reselling the horses. So last year, this book that we're looking at horses for tomorrow, book 4, I thought was one of the very best books as far as demand. And we are seeing some good showings, but I don't feel the same sort of mob that I did last year. So
we're seeing some good horses that you bring to Saratoga. Of course, I have an office there at Saratoga, and I enjoy Saratoga. Can you give us a sense of how the New York program or how it is when you're bringing horses to Saratoga.
Well, Saratoga's been a very special place for us over the years. My husband had a consignment there before I started Bluewater 14 years ago. So he and his family were selling horses there for the 20 years before that. And the Saratoga sale was very successful for us this year. We sold a filly for $1,150,000 who topped the first day and almost topped the whole sale. We sold an Awesome again for $700,000. We sold all of our horses, which is great, and we've had that record now for about 14 years. No RNAs at Saratoga, all sold. But the New York,
that is really quite incredible, beautiful.
Well, it's cost a lot of money to take those horses up there from Kentucky. So the New York sale, the preferred sale, which is the New York bred sale, has also been a big thing in the last couple of years as that program has gained money, gained purses. The maiden special weight purses are $90,000 at this point. It's a pretty good spot for people to try and buy a horse reasonably and get their money back in purses pretty quickly. So that program has been expanding drastically. A lot more mares in the program, and a lot of even newer stallions that are landing there. So it's a good place for people. The select sale is a good place for people at the top of the market to find what they want. They've had a great record of stakes horses coming out of there because they're so selective physically. And then the New York preferred sale, which comes directly after. Some of those horses, there were New York breds that were bringing, $350,000, which is pretty unusual,
Well, it's just wonderful to see that program develop and grow. From just 3 years ago, it's come such a long way. So we're seeing the impact, and it certainly looks and fares well for the future there. But we realize this yearling sale is a busy time for you, and we thank you so very much for your time.
Thank you.